just can't wait to be... Gotcha. Yeah, you thought I'm gonna explode like I did from with Aladdin? No, not this time. Not this time. We haven't even finished 2 months, and we got another Disney, well, realistic reboot to one of the beloved classics of the Disney Renaissance. They're still going strong with this one, and it looks like there is no stopping to this bullshit. Yeah, I read a lot with Aladdin. Aladdin was a piece of garbage that I absolutely hated. But apparently not many people kinda say the word to Aladdin. And it's really unfortunate that as long as people give out money to Disney, there's no stopping. So this kind of proves how evil this company is. And it's kind of sad. And what I mean is that ever since they released the trailers as the reboot of The Lion King, many people were really kind of disapproving on it, but still kind of willing to give it a chance once they saw some of the capabilities that it had. I didn't have too much of a heart to bring out some good things about this version of The Lion King, because at the end of the day, it's still another one of those really bad moves of Disney trying to discredit the efforts of the previous animators and creators who worked so hard on the original version. So there is that risk there. Before I go in details about what did I thought about this new live action okay. Before I continue on, let me tell you that I kinda really feel like I'm putting an effort to say this movie is live action. Because as realistic as the movie is, it's not live action. No, the animals are all CG, but they look so realistic and so not uncanny valley that it feels live action, except when their mouth moves sometimes. But I'll get to that in a moment. But I'm just saying why I'm struggling to say live action. But you know what? For the sake of avoiding arguments, or because I'm trying to be as lazy as a real life lion, let's call it live action, just for the sake of that. Okay, so before I go, let me tell you a little bit my experiences of the original Lion King. I do remember that the first time I knew about the Lion King is when I had the VHS version of Aladdin, and they showed the trailer, and I was very eager. I went to see it on the movie theater when I was a kid, and I remember absolutely loving it. And up to this day, I do remember that we even had a recording of The Lion King on VHS, and man, how many times we did watch it, so much that I even memorized the lines and the songs. I was kind of really into it. So much that I even asked my mother for the Tiger Electronic games of The Lion King. I even begged for the Lion King Super Nintendo game. I even had, it was kind of like a toy that you put a straw in it, and you have young Simba just saying, "I'm gonna be the king of Pride Lands. We're pal, right?" Yeah, I remember being obsessed with the Lion King. until like everything, things doesn't hold up well once you keep on growing and find new interested. Although The Lion King is still a little bit in my heart, one of my feel good animated Disney animated films that I still hold in my heart. It's just that there are some little aspects that didn't age well, and when people kind of praise it being like the best Disney movie ever, I think that's a little bit of an understatement. And personally, I will say that the other reason why I kinda reduce a little bit my love to The Lion King is that, ironically, I found another love that is still strong up to this day. And it's with this little pal. Yeah, I got this for my trip to Japan, and this is Leo from Jungle Taitei. Mostly known in the States as Kimba the White Lion. It's a funny thing that I only knew about the existence of Jungle Taitei way after The Lion King, and when I got exposed to that, I was exposed more directly to anime, and I kind of begin to see why, in some aspect, why. Well, I know that there are kind of like similarities. There's a controversy behind The Lion King, but let's not go into that. But personally, I thought that some aspects of Jungle Taitei were better compared to The Lion King. But considering that this one is kind of like a more episodic nature of storytelling compared to what I said, 80 minutes or more animated film, it's not gonna be fair. But I don't think this is the correct the correct way to tell the difference or not. And this, I'm not gonna go with that. I'm just here to talk about the live action version of The Lion King, which I just came out. First off, story summary for the people who doesn't know the basic story of The Lion King. The story takes place in a universe where animal talks. It is situated in Africa and in a savanna called Pride Rock. There's a family of lions and our main protagonist, a lion cub named Simba, he's destined to become the next king of the Pride Lands, much to the chagrin of his uncle Scar. And for the first half, we see Simba trying to be eager to be king, to be powerful, to be respected, and having his life lessons being taught by his father Mufasa. But of course, the jealousy of Scar, he plots to dethrone both the king and the prince, and so he can, rule over the Pride Land with an iron fist. And after many shenanigans, of course, Mufasa is killed, and Simba runs away. And then we get the second half where we see him dealing with the guilt of losing his father and many other things as an adult. That's the basic storyline, and you might think that, dude, you're ruining the movie. I don't think it's fair because, well, it's a movie that came out years ago, so, and considering that it's one of the most well-known Disney movies there is, kind of everybody knows the story, right, at heart. Even me. And for the newcomers, let's say that this is your loss. This is your loss because this live-action remake of The Lion King, I just came out. How can I say the perfect word for this movie? There is a line that is in both versions, in which it's the line saying slimy but satisfying. That's the I think this is the perfect analogy for this version of the Lion King, because man, you can tell why this movie really feels that utterly unnecessary, because this movie is a total desert, just as desertic as a real savannah. Why do I mean? Because this movie lacks originality. This is a total one shot by shot remake of the whole Lion King, except that they are using new animation techniques, a more realistic animation technique. And for the crux, the satisfying part is that you're basically watching the Lion King. If you know the story by heart, you're gonna enjoy those aspects. But this is only kind of like a crux to kind of forgive this film. But let's be real, as a merit movie, it doesn't deserve its merit. It feels like it doesn't deserve that. This movie wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the old version, the animated version. And say as you will that there are some things that they've been done for better or for worse, but still, you can't help to compare it. And it's fair game. When there are two things that to compare, it's inevitable. And man, that from this point, it shows. It shows that Disney has run out of ideas. Nothing creative is coming out from Disney. Unless it's some kind of Disney Channel thing or Pixar. They're running out of ideas, and they're desperate to that. So they build the nostalgia in order to draw in older audiences who wants to recapture this, but in new ways. And the newer audiences who they are taking advantage that they don't know nothing about the past. For some reason, I kind of feel that this marketing ploy feels like propaganda. And somehow, this is why I kind of find it a little bit evil on it. Like I was saying, nothing about this story, about the Lion King live action, is remarkably original. Because the lines are almost exactly the same. A little bit of tweaks here and there, but it's still the same. The way the pacing of the movie is exactly the same, except that they tweak other moments in which sometimes they omit it, and the things that they add, well, they're not relevant, which I'll tell you some key moments later. But let's go first about the acting, let's say. The voice acting is fine. It's not exactly remarkable like the original. For example, I know. For example, Sasu the bird. He was previously voiced by Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean, but now he's voiced by none other than John Oliver. Oh yeah, you'll always recognize John Oliver when he has this voice. I talk like this, you know. Honestly, I think that it fit, at least for the time being. The returning voice actor from the animated version is none other than James Earl Jones playing Mufasa. Although James Earl Jones in this version of Mufasa, I can notice that he does keep on the voice, but there's something changed on him that it doesn't feel as majestic as it is. Although still, it's still James Earl Jones. He's always doing a great a great voice, even if either being Mufasa or Darth Vader. Um, Another, what are the other? We got Danny Glover as adult Simba, and we got Beyonce as Nala, adult Nala. Nothing remarkable. Um, the new voice of Scar is Chiwetel Ejiofor. I think I could say the name correctly. He wasn't exactly bad, but it is kind of shown that that he didn't feel fit for the voice of Scar compared to Jeremy Irons, because Jeremy Irons somehow he put some kind of slimy personality on the character. The other one, he kind of sounds kind of like more like an angry dude. Although, yeah, I'm trying not to complain exactly what, because I'm not being exactly fair to, well, cast of actors. Not exactly voice actor. The only good voice actor in this one is, again, James Earl Jones. He's the only one who has the credit of being a voice actor. Who else is there? What was it? John Caney, Rafiki, who, oh man, I gotta tell you about this guy later. And, oh yeah, Timon and Pumbaa. These guys never, didn't kinda age well now and then as comic relief. But this time, well, I gotta admit that at least they kept some semblance of fun in these characters. Of course, at this time, Timon is voiced by Billy Eichner, and Pumbaa is he's voiced by Seth Rogen, and honestly, Seth Rogen kind of nails Pumbaa. They're talking like this. Yeah, Seth Rogen always had this kind of voice. So yeah, the voice acting is fine. Now the graphics. Obviously, the graphics are too realistic and so good that, in a way, it's scary. I'm actually pretty. Ever since I saw the live action remake of The Jungle Book, I am actually very, very, very worried about what digital animation will go. I know that many people praise the Jungle Book special effects, and they're impressive. This movie is no exception. They're impressive, but sometimes it's creepy in a way of how realistic it is, and I'm just kind of getting scared that people will take this as a kind of like a way that this is how movies should be done, and it will mark the death of stylized art. Honestly, if I have to be blunt, when you make things too realistic, it becomes dull and boring. Because, let's face it, real life is boring. And this movie kind of kills that compared to the animated version, in which it's bright, colorful. But now that they try to make it so realistic, they have so many limitations about what a cartoon can do and what can live action do. And the key feature that emphasizes this problem is, well, let's say the facial expressions, because animals in real life, they don't have facial expressions. They rarely do. So that you are gonna see them, having the exact face. It's kind of hard to tell their reactions. Although, yeah, in acting, sometimes you don't have to depend on usually the face to have an emotion. Sometimes their actions speak louder, but it doesn't help when some of the emotions are mostly told. Also, here's one thing that I want you to learn. You know why many anime, they have the tendency to draw the eyes bigger. Well, the key reason is that they find out that the character's emotions are mostly from the eyes and the face. The animated version of The Lion King, it had the liberty to make facial expressions to the characters, and they show their emotions. This one, since they try to recapture a lot photorealism, they don't have that kind of limitations, and it feels more like you're watching a CGI diorama of a National Geographic documentary, which maybe that was the intention, so I cannot say exactly. But for me, the perfect moment that encapsulates how dull live action is in one of the most brightly colored moments of the animated movie, and that is none other than the I can't wait to be king song. I'll get to the songs later, but in this segment, in the animated version, they use cartoon physics. They use lots of colors. They have changed a palette. The animals even act, like you're in a kind of like in a festival or something like that. It's bright and colorful. I do remember even having a lot of fun when I was a kid. It was basically kind of like my favorite song of the movie. But in this new live action movie, they're just kind of running around, mingling, what the limitations do. No choreography, just running around. And that's it. And not even the characters kind of show like extreme joy of singing or extreme passion. No, you just see them and just open their mouths and have the limitations of their faces. That's it. Well, that's enough. Kind of like my rant to the special effects. Considering that even the cinematography for it's always shot well. You can't go wrong with the Disney thing. Okay, what else I can talk about? Oh yeah, let's talk about the soundtrack. It's no surprise that the soundtrack is either gonna be like an improvement or a downgrade, considering your taste. I found kind of like a mix of both. I did like some of the songs, and that I think that some of them personally sound a little bit better than the original, but some of them, what a downgrade. Well, to make it clear, the Circle of Life for me in this version was a little bit better compared to the original. Don't get me wrong, nothing's gonna top the Tim Rice / Elton John versions of these songs. I do have a nitpick. Two of the songs were actually really, really misused. The first one is the Be Prepared song, in which they kind of cut half of the song in it, and unfortunately, the song was not as good. It wasn't as they couldn't channel the energy or the creepiness from the original version. They just kind of cut it, and the actor who plays Scar, he kind of shows that he can't sing well. I know that Jeremy Irons didn't sing the original song. They had another voice actor to sing it for him. But man, the Be Prepared song, while it was shot well, it felt a little bit disappointing. And the second one that I have a nitpick out of it is the Can You Feel the Love Can You Feel the Love Tonight song, which is also one of the most iconic songs of the animated film, with a really beautiful animated sequence. And the biggest nitpick that I have is that the sequence, well, for a song called Can You Feel the Love Tonight, the love montage, it takes place in the afternoon. I mean, what happened? What happened? How can they make a song about the night and they shot it in the afternoon? And that's basically kind of like a nitpick for that moment, for some of the soundtracks of this this movie. Although, let's face it again, if it wasn't for the original soundtracks, these songs wouldn't exist. Did I mention also that about Rafiki? Oh yeah, Rafiki, well, he does what the you know, like the original script do, but just that, he doesn't have he's kind of actually, the Digital Monkey actually kind of tries to imitate him, but he doesn't, that's pretty much what I could say about it. But there are two things that I want to mention about Rafiki. One thing that is, well, actually three. One thing that is kind of funny. One thing that is that is, well, missing, and another thing that kind of bothers me. Where should I start first? Okay, let's start the weird thing, the first one. The weird thing is that you remember the infamous scene where adult Simba kind of slumps to the ground, or to have some of his hair fly out to the wind and all this stuff. By the way, people, don't expect to see the word sex yeah, I know that meme, just in case. So in the animated version, those flies magically goes into Rafiki's hand, and then he makes some shamanism that proof that it gave him proof that Simba was alive. Well, it was weird in this version. In this version, yeah, the slump of Simba's hair flies through the wind, but it kinda have a little bit of this animalistic Rube Goldberg machine that I think it flies, yeah, a bird picks it up, it goes to the nest, the mother bird is like, no, I'm not gonna use this. It throws it away. I think it goes to another bug. But here comes the weird part. The hair, it goes to a leaf that giraffes were eating. Yeah, and the giraffe eats the hair. And then we get a blackout, and then we see a dung beetle rolling poop. and the poop, there was the hair. And then the hair, and the dung, after that it flies after the dung is broken. It goes to a river. Then it goes to some ants. The ants pick the slump of hair, and that's where Rafiki just takes the hair, and he's like, oh, he's alive. I'm glad that he didn't smell it like in the animated version. I mean, wow. Now, the thing that was missing, that's one of the best moments and the funniest moments of the animated movie, is that when Rafiki finally it begins to teach Simba that he shouldn't worry about his father's death, and that he must know who he is, and he must get over of the past. One of the best moments is which when he picks up his staff and he BAM! Smashes Simba. And he's like, ow, what the frick, dude? Well, it hurt, didn't it? Yeah, it hurt. Well, the past hurt. But then, he tries to hit him again, but this time he skips it. And he's like, yeah, see? You learn. And yeah, that was one of the best moments. But unfortunately, it was missing. And you know what was missing? Well, it's because the thing that bothered me, which is the third reason, which is none other than the staff. Rafiki doesn't have the staff until the third act. The third act, he kind of pulls off the staff, and he's like, yeah, it's been a long time, old friend. Since when? That was kind of odd. It's almost like it was almost like he was pulling out a katana. And that's my nitpick of Rafiki. Let me give this movie a little bit of credit when it due. Although some of the few new details that they tried to improve on the film, they didn't feel justified. And it doesn't justify the existence of the movie. But at least let me give it that. One of the few details that this movie has are the hyenas. The hyenas were they were mostly like they were kind of like the antagonistic minions of the movie. And their personalities are mostly reflected in the original film by three hyenas: Shensi, Ed, and Bansai, I think they were called. And in the original movie, they acted kind of like bumbling trios, and they follow Scar when he persuade them to follow his plans. In the new movie, of course, they eliminate Ed and Bansai, and you see more of the hyena going along with the pack, and they kept Shensi, and this time she has more of a presence in the film. She actually is the kind of like the leader of the pack. She has some cool lines, I gotta admit that. She became kind of like the edgelord of this one. And I really like that because man, that she kind of proved that she is the man of the pack. And by the way, when I mean the man of the pack, believe it or not, that's kind of true in real life with hyenas, because females have something that that usually females doesn't have. I'm not gonna say it here, but don't believe me. Check it out. It's true. It's true that they have something to show their power. Okay, continue on before I blurt it out. But true fact. Check it out. Another small detail that I kind of like is that the oasis where Simba runs away and lives with Timon and Pumbaa, it does, of course, feels like there are other animals there this time. They added that they're not just the three of them living in that oasis. Is that they put more animals there, and it kind of gets out that there are a community of animals there, and it doesn't feel so lonely. Well, considering that bugs are also life, but what do I know? And I'm kind of glad that at least even though it wasn't necessary, they added a small scene where it's about Nala escaping Pride Rock in order to try to look for help, and then she eventually reaches the oasis. Because in the original movie, they don't have that scene, and Nala just kind of just appears in the oasis. It's not necessary, but at least it gives a little bit of continuity. But again, this is small peanuts. this is small peanuts and doesn't justify that this is a shot-by-shot remake that it lacks originality. It just feels like just some kind of testing for the new for the new technology, and that's sad. And now that I think of it, maybe I can give it a little bit more credit to the live-action Jungle Book movie, because at least on that one, they ran out trying different things. But this one, the best example I can say is that it's technically like the Psycho syndrome. There is the original version of the Psycho, which is one of the best Alfred Hitchcock movies there is, and one of the most iconic horror movies there is. But then in the 90s, they made a shot-by-shot remake that is exactly the same, but it doesn't feel right. It feels cheap. It feels unoriginal and lacks some kind of charm in it. And by the way, yes, I saw both versions of Psycho. And this Lion King is basically that. It really proves that and you should never underestimate animation. Animation can be used as that it's something that it requires a lot of hard work, a lot of money, but still it brings out big payoff. Unlike CGI, too realistic animation that it tries too hard to become animation, but it can't. No matter how much we try, that's the circle of life of animation. But at the end of the day, I don't hate it. I don't hate the new live action Lion King. I'm just, well, I was like, yeah, I saw a new version of the Lion King. It's almost like going to a cheaper version of the Broadway play that I never went. But just that, I didn't, and maybe this is the reason why I feel a little bit forgiving on this film more than I give it to Aladdin, because Aladdin was insulting. At least this one they tried. They tried something. They failed, but they tried. And at the end, well, some people applauded, I'll say. Most of the time they were quiet. But no matter how much they keep on doing that, it is still proof that the Disney Corporation just ran out of ideas, and now they only had to rely on recycle materials to reinstate their wheel, what made them successful, but still missing the point that the beauty of animation. The beauty of animation is not exactly a nostalgia. I wouldn't have minded if they remake the movie but give it some kind of different spin. Let's say, like, for example, if they could have adapted a little bit to, with Jungle Tai. Although that's asking a little bit too much, because I don't want to push the controversy a lot. It's just kind of like an opinion out of me. So, do I recommend this movie? Well, not exactly. Let's try to make an effort to make Disney lose money. I think they're okay. They have enough money. Just, if you want to support Disney in the correct way, watch the original movie. Watch the original movie. Buy the Blu-ray of the original movie. Forget this version. I don't think it's kind of worth it. Okay, maybe you can check it out by curiosity, but just as a rental. And that's pretty much I have to say about this version. I cannot state much about this. it's just proves how Disney right now, it's just a desert. It's not a desert of ideas.